Hey guys, and welcome back. So, today we're going to talk about choosing an assisted living. So, when we talk about assisted living, that also includes independent and memory care. Again, I know I've said this in another video. When we say assisted living, it's just kind of like the easiest blanket term to use for any type of moving into a senior living facility. Okay. And the big thing is that every single assisted living facility is going to be different. Okay. Even if like you go into two of them that are owned by the same corporation or something, they're still going to be different because they're going to have different management. All right. And you want to look for overall trends in the properties because obviously, like staff comes and goes. And some of the biggest things that we want to look for are as follows. So obviously the big thing is cleanliness and overall environment. I was in a assisted living. It was so part of it was assisted living, and then they also had a skilled nursing facility attached to it. This was in Sebring, Florida. And I am telling you, I commented so many times when I was in the assisted living section, even when I was in the skilled nursing section, they had some sort of air freshener going and it smelled so good in there. And I'm telling you, the smell is to me is always the first impression. If it smells good in there, you can feel a lot more confident of the cleanliness. And if it smells bad, like if it smells like a nursing home in there, I'm not interested. That's going to be a no-go for me. And so smells are in fact really, really important because it does provide obviously strong smells could be covering something, of course, right? So let's not get it twisted there. But the overall cleanliness, are there trash cans? Are they overflowing? Are the floors clean? Are the walls nice? Stuff like that does show a level of care and consistency. That's really important. Now, regarding staff, you really want to not necessarily don't judge staff based on how they look or anything like that. I mean, I have a whole tattoo on my arm and everything. It's okay. It's okay, guys. Uh, but look at their interactions. So you really want to watch how those staff members are interacting with the residents. So how they're interacting with each other is helpful as well, but really how they're interacting with those residents. Are they showing care? Does it look like they want to be there? Just taking some time when you're on your tour and just zone out a little bit and just for 5 minutes, focus on the staff. And it's going to really tell you a lot about the facility. You also want to look at the activities. So look at the daily lifestyle. Usually in these places, they'll have a calendar posted. If they don't, make sure to ask. A lot of them actually on their websites also will have a monthly calendar of events, but definitely take a look at that. The only thing I'm going to caution is don't get too excited about all the activities. And I'm going to say why. So, when I used to work in an assisted living facility, the calendar that they had was all the assisted living and independent because they had both of them in the same building, kind of like interspersed within each other. And there were a lot of activities that were for independent residents and not for assisted living residents. So, for example, you'll see, oh, dinner at Longhorn Steakhouse. Oh, wow, that's really nice. Sorry, your mom's in assisted living. She can't go to that. So, they usually do designate, like, if something is for independent residents only, they will put, I think they put like IC or something, independent or IL, independent living, in parentheses next to it. So that way people knew, like, oh, this is for the independent people, my mom's assisted, whatever. But just watch out for that. And then if you're looking at memory care typically has an entire different set of activities. So again, if you're in there, memory care is going to be completely separate. It's going to be its own lockdown unit. But if you are looking at a calendar, like in the main area, but you're specifically there for memory care, do not assume that it's the same calendar because it isn't. Okay. The other big thing is making sure that the level of care matches your loved one's needs. So that's something that we kind of address ahead of time, right? In our intake forms, we talk about what type of care is needed. So that's not really something to look for on your tour. We really should have done that ahead of time. But the big thing is to trust your gut. If you automatically get the ick when you walk in, that is not going to be a place for mom. Okay. If you're, you, and there's a big difference between being uneasy or like being kind of like nervous and having the ick, right? Being nervous is totally normal, especially if it's like the first or second place that you've walked into. You're kind of like, oh my gosh, you're picking out every little thing that might be wrong. But if you get that instant gut reaction of this is not a good place, just stick to that. Trust me. And what we often do is when we go on these tours, like especially the first couple, like usually do like between three, like 3 and 5 places. And a lot of times we'll end up actually circling back and going to those first 2 places again. And it's because of that uneasiness because we're just starting the process, right? So you don't have anything else to really compare to. So a lot of times I'll recommend, hey, if you thought that that first or second place was an option, we should probably go back there before you exit out completely, just because you didn't have anything else to compare it to when we first started looking. So the other thing you can do, of course, is visit again. Like other than just visiting those first ones again, when you narrow it down to like 1 or 2 that are really great, visit in the evening, visit on the weekend, visit different times. If you went in the morning the first time, again, go in the evening, vice versa. So, there's nothing that says you can't go back to a place again. So we always recommend pick out your top 2 and then let's go back and we'll do a second tour and then we can decide at that point. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any other tips, leave them in the comments below and I will see you guys in the next video.